Broadcasting live from the Zimmer Communications World Headquarters.
Great news for the American people.
This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri with Branden Rathert, featuring Stephanie Bell, News Director Brian Houseworth, John Marsh, and Hannah, the producer.
This is why we listen to you.
Get ready, pal. And now, here's your host, Branden Rathert.
Does the president support not just banning the sale and manufacture of semi-automatic weapons, but further than that, confiscation?
KJP asked by a reporter in the White House yesterday, does Joe support banning AR-15s? How did she answer that question? We're going to get into that here, but I want to focus on a lot of this love that's been given to law enforcement, the very people that protect us, and we know we just had an officer, a Herman police officer, killed a couple of weeks ago in the line of duty. Tuesday, a police officer in the line of duty in Alabama, shot and killed. So we want to applaud our police officers, and one of the things that I do appreciate, and I only feel, because I still got to be cynical,
of course.
Even complimenting people, still got to be cynical. But even a lot of the national news outlets complimenting the work of the police officers, much deserved, too little, too late. And again, I think they're doing it because they know they have to. And again, this whole issue with this shooting by this young lady the other day at the school in Nashville, it's got progressives and Dems all twisted up so much. So did you hear what happened with Jamal Bowman? Representative Thomas Massey yesterday.
No.
In Washington, D.C. These are grown men, and they get into a fight in the hallways in D.C.
Bare knuckle boxing?
Almost. It almost got physical.
Let them explain it all the way up to Election Day on 2024. They're freaking cowards. They're gutless. They're not here. I'm talking about gun violence.
You know, there's never been
I'm talking about gun violence.
in a school that allows teachers to carry
guns, using more guns leads to more death.
Anyhow, he goes on to say, so the guy making sense is the Republican, Representative Thomas Massey, saying, in schools where teachers are allowed to carry guns, never been a school shooting, and think about this. And Gary Nolan, who's here at 9 this morning on the radio station, he always makes a very valid argument. How many times has somebody gone in and tried to go into a police station and shoot and kill cops? Never. How many times have you heard there's a big NRA event happening Saturday night here in mid-Missouri? How many times have you heard anybody ever walked into an NRA event and unloaded an AR-15? No, you know why? Because they know there's guns in there. They won't do that stuff. So Thomas Massey on point there, and he brought up this which is a very valid point. He said, Mr. Bowman, you represent a district where people are gunned down in your neighborhoods every single day. You're a hypocrite. You don't know what the hell you're talking about, man. It's crazy. All right.
So was there boxing?
So it was, you know how dudes do? John,
kind of like a standoff?
Yeah. Remember when we were in high school, John, and you wanted to make a scene in front of your friends, show them that you were tough, but you didn't really want to fight the dude? You know the look, right, Andy? Kind of that, you bow up on somebody, you get all like this, but you never throw punches.
Okay.
That's kind of what they did. Trying to look tough, but no bare-knuckle fighting.
I'm a fan of Massey, and I have been for a while, and someone turned me on recently to this fact that the New York Times did like a 2-page profile on him. If you Google it, you can find it, which is weird for mainstream media to talk about a Republican. But anyway, no, he was, if you haven't read that article, it's really good and a really deep dive into Massey, who I think is going to, come to the forefront here in the future.
By the way, we have some new polling, wild swing in the polls for Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis. That's something we are going to be covering this morning, coming up at 7:10. Also 6:35, some Trump indictment news this morning. We'll do that for you at 6:35 here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Good morning. Welcome into the show. I am Branden Rathert. There is Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Andy Humphrey is here.
Hey there.
Stick around. I want to talk about Cardinals and Royals opening day before we get going. There's producer Hannah.
You're so bossy.
He is.
Ask him nicely.
Did that sound bad, John? Seriously?
Yeah, it was a little over the top.
And he's getting ready to throw us under the bus because I might have texted 2 days ago and said, let's all wear Cardinal stuff for opening day. And the only person wearing Cardinal stuff.
Which this is so backwards compared to how things usually work out.
I am sorry. I even bought a cute new Cardinals shirt, and
I'm the least of everybody here in the Wake Up Mid-Missouri family.
I got the uniform memo, though.
I did, and I followed it, because I get a lot of the memos, but I don't pay attention to them. It's two different things. because a lot of times when Stephanie texts, it's kind of okay.
And when I send it like a question, it's not a question.
Woo!
I'm like,
when she sends
should we wear Cardinal stuff? Question mark. That means we should wear Cardinal stuff.
Here's what it's like having Stephanie Bell in your life. Mostly
bossy.
it's remarkable.
Yes,
and yes
of course.
to point B. But she'll send a text, and like if you don't respond in 17 seconds, pow, you get another text, and the question is just simply a question mark. Like, and I always want to say when she sends those, I want to say, dude, I'm not Mr. Bell. You can't talk to me like that.
But did you follow orders?
I did.
You sure did.
Yes.
I didn't even think about it until I got to the
I feel
station this
bad.
morning and saw Brandon's Cardinals shirt. I was like, oops.
Yes, dear. I'll wear my Cardinals gear.
So I was really scared for Stephanie to get here because I thought I was going to be in trouble. She forgot to. We're good.
Marsh, you decked out in the Cardinals gear today?
No.
No, you look good anyway. That's Mr. John Marsh. My name is Branden Rathert, 874-9390. So, opening day, Wilson Contreras. So he's the new catcher, and you're replacing a dude who was a legend in St. Louis for almost 20 years. It's got to be awesome. Or awesomely frightening. That's got to be a frightening prospect, I would think.
Yeah, probably a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he grew up watching him, basically.
Yeah.
So.
And he even said, Yadier Molina was my idol, but he's doing something really cool today to honor him. Want to get to that here in a few minutes. So Stephanie sends out a text, hey, on Thursday we should all wear Cardinals gear. And so I said, oh, yeah, great idea, and even put it on my calendar. So when my alarm went off at 2:30 this morning, I woke up, I'm like, crap, there's a notification. Was I supposed to do something today? Because I get bummed out when I look at my calendar every morning when I get up, and if there's a lot of stuff in there, I'm like, oh, man.
Well, to make matters worse, you actually put it on our joint calendar for the whole team.
Oh, so the whole show saw it.
Yeah.
Oops.
Huh. Who's organized now?
So we're going to redeem ourselves on Feel Good Friday, and we're going to wear red and Cardinals. So.
I like where your head's at. So I'm the only one that paid attention to the rules, and I'm not typically a rule follower. But when
Is this the Matrix?
When it comes to supporting my family members here on the show, I'll do anything for you. You know I got your back. So Wilson Contreras is doing something really cool. I want to get into that. Before we do that, I do want to highlight what was said yesterday, White House press briefing.
Does the president support not just banning the sale and manufacture of semi-automatic weapons, but further than that, confiscation?
Let me just be very clear. What we're talking about, AR-15s, these assault weapons ban, they are weapons of war, and they should not be on the streets across the country.
Except you have a constitution. It's in the Constitution, the very thing our country was built on. It's in the Constitution of the United States of America. And the other point is, does Joe Biden support banning AR-15s? Spoiler alert, she never answered the question. 874-9390, 874-9390. Glad you could join us on the show this morning. So I do want to say this, too. A lot of the national news outlets heaping praise on these officers, and I don't know if you saw the video. I typically don't go and look at videos. These officers that saved the rest of the people in that school in Nashville the other day, I don't like to watch those videos at all. It's sickening to see people die. These officers, I did watch the video against my better judgment, and it is awesome. They just walk in and they do their job, and that girl who killed those little kids and killed some adults, she just dropped just like that. But I don't like to. It makes me uncomfortable. You know what I mean? To see, even though the cops are doing their jobs, it just makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I watched the video. I typically don't watch, but it was amazing. And what we heard from Ashland Police Chief Gabe Edwards was they were watching it and talking about it and saying, you know, this is. I think, and he didn't exactly say this, but in my mind, it looks like a textbook example of what you should do. So I hope other police forces from across the nation are watching that and saying, you know, what was it, 14 minutes from call to, you know, neutralizing the shooter. I hope other folks are saying, here's what went right. Here's how we could speed that up. Here's, and using it as an example of how to respond. And I think they did it, they are for sure heroes.
And there's a lot of impactful things happening. By the way, we're just days away from our municipal election, Tuesday, April the 4th. Just want to let you know. I know in Boone County, I think the clerk there was, she was saying maybe 20% turnout, which is almost double what you get in a typical municipal for Boone County. I'm not sure, Marsh, you got any numbers from Cole County. Typically, in your mind, estimates when it relates to the municipal elections?
Yeah, 20 plus, I think, what we had the last time around. So, it's when there's things on the ballot that people have an interest in, that's what draws the voters.
Is everyone very excited to tax weed, or are they saying, because there's not, besides I think almost all the Midmo municipalities have a weed tax on there. Ashland has the sales tax, but I think it's school
Some
board.
of the counties do is in addition to the cities.
Correct. But are they saying what's drawing people out? Because typically,
I don't know if it's a school board races. Houseworth and I have been to a couple in Columbia, a couple of debates, candidate forums for school board candidates, and there was one in a restaurant where typically at these events you get 20, 25 people. This was 2 months ago, 75 people. Houseworth and I went to one last week on the campus of Mizzou in an auditorium there. 110 people by the time we left, and there were more people milling in and out. So these school board races, the more localer, the more importanter. Cardinals, Royals today opening. What's kind of the prognosis for the Cardinals this year?
They should win the division. They're projected to win it. They are the most talented team in it. So I would think that that's the goal once again. And then when you get there, what do you do after that? Because they've been kind of one and done in the playoffs. So they need to fix that.
They're almost like a hockey team. Yeah, we get into the playoffs every year, but it's not almost that big of a deal anymore. And then how about the Royals?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Okay. I think it'll be better than people probably think.
What he's saying is the tickets are really cheap. Is that what you're saying?
That, and I think they'll be treated to a better product than people maybe expect.
And the other cool thing, Chip Carey, what is he, the grandson of Harry Carey, Marsh?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the grandson. He's doing play-by-play.
He's pretty talented, too.
And I always, of course, who can't do a Harry Carey impersonation? John, can Harry Carey do the weather for us real quick this morning?
Well, partly cloudy and a high of 69 for the Chicago Metroplex this morning, but could be some weather tomorrow. Holy cow.
All right, nice. Wilson Contreras.
Yadier Molina, we all know who the guy is. The best catcher the last 2 decades, future Hall of Fame, first ballot. He set the bar really high. And he was my idol. I wouldn't lie about it. I already told him too.
Check out the cool thing he is doing to honor Yadier Molina. So 2 things, kind of behind-the-scenes info we got from St. Louis Cardinals. Yadier Molina's old locker is the locker of Wilson Contreras, and he's wearing some special edition shoes, apparently, in the game today to honor Yadier Molina. Coming up 5 minutes from now, Daily D.C. Rundown. What's happening inside the D.C. Beltway? Steph knows. What do you have for us, Steph?
Well, Trump is taking a page, I think, from the Wake Up playbook.
What's he doing? Everybody rips us off. Trump's the latest one. Details on that 5 minutes from now.
This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri, featuring Branden Rathert.
The story that matters to me most in the
I mean, the country, we were respected all over the world. Now we're a laughingstock. He goes to Canada the other day, you covered it, and he says, I want to thank China in the middle of the Canadian Parliament.
Why? Trump sounds remarkably like Wake Up Mid-Missouri. How long have we been saying? We've been saying since January 20th, 2021, our view on the worldwide stage, our power, our standing in this world dropped significantly on the events of January the 20th, 2021, and Joe Biden has continued to prove us right. And that's part of what's getting us in today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell.
Trump is also taking a page from the Wake Up playbook in that he is committing to video. So if you're not watching us on YouTube or live on Facebook, we've been on video for a while. It's kind of a fun way to experience Wake Up. You can see all of the fun faces we make.
Some of the things... So Stephanie brings you this Daily DC Rundown every morning, 6:25, some of what's happening behind the scenes in DC. You can go and watch our show on our Facebook page or on our YouTube channel, Wake Up Mid-Missouri. You can see some of the things that happen behind the scenes here.
And what we know from Trump is in his first campaign, Fox followed him around with a camera, so he didn't really have to produce his own video because they just filmed everything he did. They're not doing that this time around. And so, it's interesting because he's kind of taking he recognizes the popularity of TikTok, perhaps, and the popularity of video. So, he went out on his own to start his own social media platform. Is that exactly what you would call it? And said, if I'm banned, I'm going to go start my own. And he basically went back in time, and now he posts like memos on paper, like statements. It's really weird. But apparently he's committing to video, which he should get with the times. And obviously video of folks talking directly to the camera, whether it be influencers or other people, has been very popular. So that is what he is counting on. Apparently he has videos where he is speaking directly to the camera. He's talking about Ukraine. He's talking about dismantling the deep state. And his campaign is saying, yeah, we're going to do things differently than your normal run-of-the-mill campaign. I think he's right in taking that strategy.
And he was right on Joe Biden. He talked about Joe Biden. That wasn't Trump talking out of his rear end, by the way. Biden thanking China.
So today, I applaud China for...
Yikes.
He misspoke, but that's what he said. Oh, and then he went on to say after that, I applaud China. Then after that...
you can tell what I'm thinking.
You can tell what You're right, Joe.
Well, while Trump is taking a page from the Wake Up playbook and, copying TikTok, essentially, Senator Josh Hawley is continuing his campaign to kill TikTok. Apparently yesterday, he went ahead and tried to force a Senate vote on the TikTok ban. Actually, Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky blocked that. Only one person in the Senate has to object, and Rand Paul did, and told Josh Hawley, speech is protected whether you like it or not. So Hawley called TikTok digital fentanyl.
That was an interesting take, and I don't think it should be banned. I don't like it. I don't use it. If state governments want to ban it on devices by state employees, I'm fine with that. I just don't like the idea of canceling stuff.
Also, Biden issued his first veto a couple weeks ago on that retirement ESG bill, but he's not going to issue a veto on, there's a Republican-led bill that's going to end the COVID emergency. It's headed to his desk, and he's probably gonna let it go.
Fentanyl, digital fentanyl. That's kind of cool. I think I'm co-opting that phrase. Fentanyl here in mid-Missouri as it relates to what's happening at the border and some news regarding a potential Trump indictment that's coming up at 6:35.
Senator, there is a very significant...
That's a yes or no question.
There's a very significant...
Is there a crisis?
Senator, there's a very significant challenge.
I think your microphone is not on.
Ted Cruz, Alejandro Mayorkas being questioned, is there a crisis at the border? We just heard this 30 minutes ago with Corinne Jean-Pierre. She was asked does the president support banning AR-15s? And she goes in this thing, well, these are guns of war, blah, blah, blah. No, the question is, does the president support this? So same thing. We see this mindset here with these progressives. Don't answer the question. Let's try some more.
There is a very significant challenge that we are facing.
Yes or no, is there a crisis?
I believe I've addressed that question.
So you're refusing to answer?
Senator, there is a very significant challenge. And
will you answer if there's a crisis?
Don't answer the question. Yes, it is a crisis at the border. And don't fall for this argument that they use a lot, and that is, well, but see, most of the stuff that comes in through our secure checkpoints. And that's what they say. So when they try to tell you, and Alejandro Mayorkas, he has lied on numerous occasions, the border is secure. The border is not secure. It simply isn't. But they lie. So then they'll say, well, it's secure. Well, our checkpoints are secure. If you look at the geographical space of a checkpoint along our complete border from California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, it's a very small geographical area when he actually talks about the checkpoints.
And they're secure unless you're trying to go get plastic surgery. And then if you cross the border, you're in danger. I mean, I know folks, it's been a conversation with plenty of folks who are talking about traveling and saying, do I want to leave the country at this point? And especially, do I want to go to Mexico? Do I want to do these other things? It's not a safe place to be right now.
And a lot of folks, especially in these college towns, canceling trips to Mexico for spring break. How has spring break, by the way, worked out for parents? I know daycare, and especially daycare for only 1 week, trying to figure stuff out. It's like a mortgage payment. It should be birth control, frankly. Here's the expenses of raising a child or trying to put a child in daycare. Oh, birth control.
You need an advanced degree these days to schedule your kids' camps for the summer. And you need a mortgage payment. We were going over our budget just recently, and of course these camps sell out, so you have to know when they open, register right away, know when their friends are going to the camp, so they're there with their friends, and then my kids are scheduled out like crazy, but super expensive, and I think a lot of kids are on spring break. My kids are on spring break. I saw a funny photo earlier this week, and it's spring break album. The kids are playing games, and I think they're being supervised by college kids, maybe.
Even our recent college grad producer Hannah's laughing at that one.
I don't know exactly what they were doing but they were all standing around a table with a bunch of Solo cups, and I was like, this reminds me of some of my spring breaks. I think I've played this game before.
I think
beer pong flashbacks, huh?
In Mexico.
Yeah.
I think we should start a petition for all adults in the workplace to also get a week off from work for free for spring break.
Yeah, I agree.
That'd solve the childcare problem for spring break, right?
Bring your kids to work. Bring in a daycare. Open up a daycare. These employers that are trying to find employees and they can't do it, whether it's for housing issues because they can't bring people here because they can't find affordable housing for them to live in so they can come to your place and work and produce for the local economy. I wonder if some of these places, not everybody would have the ability to do it, but we hear about some great employers here in mid-Missouri. For example, Zimmer Radio Group. As a matter of fact, you get down to midmohires.com. We have some really cool things here at Zimmer Radio Group. If you're looking for substantial, potentially life-changing work, midmojobs.com is a place to go. We hear about Veterans United all the time at a bunch of these places that do a lot for their employees. Has anybody had the ability as a large employer to go and open up a daycare in their facility for parents? Because that's the other thing. And this is a reasonable gripe. People say, well, go get a job and do this. And okay, I go get a job, and let's say I make $2,500 a month. I'm spending almost half that to put my 2 kids in daycare. It's not feasible for me to go and get a job.
Yeah, we know some of these employers, they offer some really exciting benefits like food, they have chefs and cafeterias and other things. I don't know if anyone offers on-site daycare, but certainly it's a conversation, especially if you have 2 working parents. Is it worth it for one of us to keep working when you're paying a mortgage payment for childcare? It's a lot.
When you look at some of the big employers in this area, you talk about Veterans United, you talk about Capital Regional Medical Center or Scholastic Inc., where you've got like 1,500 employees. I don't know if those places could do something like a daycare, but I think it might be better if you have the ability, because what do we always say we want? What are the perks we want at work? Number one is money.
Yeah.
Time off. I want to be able to bring my dog to work, even though I don't have a dog. I want to know that I have that possibility if I ever
Bring
get
somebody else's dog to work.
You show us your dogs every day.
So it would just seem like if there's a way to do that, you could do it. Money. Let me bring my dog to work. Oh, and you provide child care. Imagine the type of burden that would ease on parents, because we have a lot of parents. They want to do these things, but daycare is incredible.
Look at some of the stories, though, from the westcoast.coms and all. They've gotten away from a lot of that stuff with the daycares and the in-house chef and all of that.
Yeah, they're having to make cuts for sure.
And then there is the economy over the past 2 years.
Yeah, and I apologize. I'm going to just use state daycare today, actually, I think. I've been, Drew and I, my son and I, have been working on this project. And if you don't know, we talk to the Secretary of State quite often about his election stuff, but he's in charge of the state archives, which is like, there's in his build, there's like a library, and they have all sorts of cool old stuff there, pictures, other things. And one of the projects we were working on, we need to go find some old photos. So I'm gonna leave Drew with a reference librarian at the archives, I think, today, and work from there. And we're gonna go do like a little project as part of spring break. So if you're super nerdy and looking for a fun activity, it's
State
open.
library.
It's open to the public, and actually they've got some cool stuff there.
No, really, Drew, it's fun. It's really
He's
fun.
gonna love it.
Well, it's this, or go to the church camp and learn how to play beer pong. Take your pick. A library for old people or beer pong at the church camp. Take your pick.
We've been patronizing all of the fun local businesses, from Strikers to Level Up to, I think Midway Golf and Games has been closed, but they're opening back up. And so that's what's fun. About, we haven't taken, a lot of people are on vacation, but we're just circling all the fun things to do in Mid-Mo this week. And it's been, my girls have requested a spa day, so I don't know where they get that from, but
the girls, the girls in the Bell family get a spa day. Drew gets to go to the state library. Poor kid. Welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri. That's a resident mom of the show, Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
There's John Marsh.
Hello.
Producer Hannah is here.
Yo.
My name is Branden Rathert, 874-9390. We want to see if Mayorkas ever answered this question from Ted Cruz about the border.
Therefore, we are dedicating the resources.
Okay, so you're refusing to answer. Well, Secretary Mayorkas, I'll tell you someone who is willing to answer, which is your and President Biden's chief of the Border Patrol.
So he plays audio of people that actually work the border, people that work for Biden, people that work for Alejandro Mayorkas, saying, you guys aren't doing anything here, and look what's happening. It's bringing in things, and it's nothing. And that's the frustrating part, too. The national news outlets pick up, they're afraid it's brown people. No, it's because of the issues that come through a porous border. Fentanyl, which comes from China, comes through Mexico. It comes here to mid-Missouri. We know at least in one mid-Missouri county last year, 25 people died of fentanyl overdoses. Did you see this story of this woman from Tuscumbia, John? Miller County?
100 plus hits of fentanyl when she was stopped, and had her 10-year-old kid in the car with her to boot.
This is from KOMU Channel 8. Tuscumbia woman faces 3 felony charges after Miller County deputies say they found 107 fentanyl doses in her vehicle in a traffic stop earlier this week. 10-year-old kid in the vehicle at the time. The gal is charged with delivery of a controlled substance, possession of a controlled substance, and endangering the welfare of a child involving drugs. Do you put the seriousness of the charges in a particular order? Like, the more serious the charge, we should do that first? Because I would think the welfare of a child involving drugs, that would be the first thing on my list. Traffic stop happened about 1:30. Why are you laughing at me?
I just feel like I need a big sign, like, I don't do criminal law. Like,
I know.
You ask me questions, and I'm like, I'm going to need to phone a friend. I don't know. I think probably you put them in a particular order, but
Isn't it usually on charging statements and criminal side, the ones with the highest penalties are generally listed first on the charging statement?
Again, another good criminal law question
You
for
should
Stephanie
ask
Bell
John.
from John.
Yeah, you should ask John before you ask me, honestly.
Traffic stop. This happened about 1:30. This was on U.S. Highway 54 in Miller County. And then, of course, they found meth. They found found other pills to be controlled substances. The sheriff's office said the drugs were found in a small Hello Kitty container. I don't know what that is.
Oh, you don't know what Hello Kitty is?
What?
Oh, come on. Google that.
I even know Hello Kitty.
I guarantee as soon as you see a picture, you're going to be like, oh, yeah.
It's like white.
Oh, yeah.
You know, she got a...
It's a cat, a little kid stuff.
It's
so
cute.
it's like
She's got like a little bow.
Little kid's purse, and this is where she's stuffing the fentanyl. Is that what it is?
I think it's really out of fashion right now. It's not like... It was really popular maybe when I was in high school.
Yeah, when I was little.
Okay. This is interesting, too, because now in the Missouri legislature, there's psychedelic mushrooms. We legalized recreational weed. Now let's do the next thing on the list, shrooms, but very valuable benefit to that. We're going to be covering that later this morning. There is some news as it relates. And one of our mid-Missouri lawmakers, Dave Griffith, who does tremendous work for veterans here in mid-Missouri, and he does it not just in his capacity as a state lawmaker, but I think personally, his personal time when you hang out in Jefferson City, if it has something to do with vets, John, there's Dave Griffith.
Oh,
yeah.
Most definitely has for as long as I can remember, even before he was involved in politics, when he worked for the Red Cross, media, and us.
So
I went to an hour-long presentation about psychedelics and other things, and it was termed in a way that I hadn't heard before. And they said it's about freedom, and you should have the freedom to alter your cognitive state.
That's right, and I agree with that. Even as somebody who wouldn't partake in that stuff, but the benefits, the health benefits, and they keep using psychedelics, they could give it another name.
They could
put different words on it, because psychedelics, we think 60s and the Who and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't call it like devil's lettuce or like reefer. You know, the people in the industry call it cannabis for a reason. So yes, they're not out there saying magic mushrooms; they're saying psychedelics. But no, I mean the science. If you actually dig down and read the science and the reports, I mean, there's legitimate health data about the benefits of psychedelics applied in certain circumstances.
Trump, clock is ticking. Still nothing out of New York. Apparently, the grand jury is going on
spring break.
They're on spring break. They're going on a month-long hiatus. I'm wondering if this DA there, this throws back to DA Alvin Bragg, is going, everybody's right. I really don't have a case. Coming up just a few minutes from now, this predatory animal could soon be in Missouri if you don't buy a Tesla. That story coming up 5 minutes from now.
what is happening.
Broadcasting live from the Zimmer Communications World Headquarters.
Great news for the American people.
This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri with Branden Rathert, featuring Stephanie Bell, News Director Brian Houseworth, John Marsh, and Hannah, the producer.
This is why we listen to you.
Get ready, pal. And now, here's your host, Branden Rathert.
DeSantis is taking a bruising. I used to think it was smart of him to stay quiet. He's suffering. He is bleeding. He is painting him as this rhino, consultant-driven guy who doesn't have what it takes, and Ron's quiet. And if I were Ron, I would start talking.
I completely disagree with Jesse Waters, but then there's new Fox polling regarding the 2024 GOP presidential race, and that polling would disagree with my sentiments. Welcome into the show. It's Wake Up Mid-Missouri. I am Branden Rathert. Stephanie Bell is here.
Good morning.
Mr. Cousin Andy Humphreys here.
Hey there.
There's producer Hannah.
Hello.
Mr. John Marsh in the house.
Yes, indeed.
874-9390, 874-9390. A few minutes ago, we said, hey, hear the moment Janet Yellen gets questioned by a congressman about Matt Taibbi. He's the guy who's responsible for Twitter files. He's exposed how the feds have been using, in effect, weaponizing the government to go after people they disagree with. And Matt Taibbi, with his Twitter files and compelling testimony.
Years at Rolling Stone.
Yeah, a lot of years at Rolling Stone, this guy. And he's an independent journalist. He doesn't, he's not beholden to anybody. So while he's testifying in Congress, I guess it was earlier this month, while that's happening, the IRS goes to this guy's house. Knock on the door like, yo, Matt, you here? We got some questions. And I'm guessing I probably just exaggerated all that because they knew he wasn't there. They knew he was in Washington, D.C. testifying. The IRS shows up at this guy's house.
Just a coincidence, Branden.
Just a coincidence. And we had audio of Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen being asked about this. Representative Chris Stewart, he is a Republican from Utah, asked her, like, do you find that to be a little odd? And Janet Yellen says, yeah. That's typically not what the IRS does. And apparently the audio is not working. But you get the point of the story. That's what happened. I want to get to this Trump polling really quick. Fox News. Jesse Waters says DeSantis needs to hit back at Trump. He's floundering because Trump keeps attacking him, and he's not responding. And I think that's the right way to play. He's not even declared for president yet. And I like DeSantis. I like Trump. Nobody was a bigger fan besides Giuliani, Hannity, and Trump himself. You could put me in that top 5 of Trump supporters in 2015 and 16 and 20. My argument, my contention is, and I sincerely believe, Trump would easily win a GOP primary. Ron DeSantis would have a far better chance of winning a general election because of the independents, the people that are non-committal to a party. They are independent. They're libertarians. There's a lot of those folks that they don't know. They don't know years in advance, I'm going to vote for the Democrat. I'm going to vote for the Republican. A lot of people do vote that way. Even if Joe, seriously, if you get a chance, watch these videos of Joe. We were watching some older videos of him this morning on some of his double takes and his 180s and how he hasn't changed his mind. He hasn't backtracked on issues. He's reimagined his positions. He's evolved on these issues. But you watch videos of him from 2 years ago and compared to today, I'm not kidding. Like somebody has stuck a cattle prod in this guy and he gets shocked and they put him out on the podium and it really, even if you're somebody who voted for Biden, I'm not criticizing you. I'm saying go watch this stuff and then think again about the idea of Biden running in 2024. But I honestly believe DeSantis would have a far better chance in the general election than Trump. Fox News polling says I'm wrong. So we've been highlighting some of the polling numbers, and two things are interesting. Number one, DeSantis continues to show up in second place. The interesting thing about that, he hasn't said that he's going to run for president. And then you have people like Nikki Haley, who has declared she's running for president. She's barely showing up in this poll. You have people like, unfortunately, Vivek Ramaswamy, who I really like this guy. Do your homework on Vivek Ramaswamy. I do.
I've started to give you grief about this guy being your newest man crush.
Yeah. Well, the reason why was the way he answered one of those questions about, is this the party of Trump? And I just thought it was an incredible answer. This was Stuart Varney a couple of weeks ago.
Is this Trump's GOP? I think that the America First agenda and the people who are behind America First are really committed to putting America first.
And that's what I love, because that's what I say. Trump doesn't have to be the guy. Trump and a general will lose. I'll take it to the bank. I will, if I ever get asked to MC the governor's prayer breakfast again, if I lose that bet, I will do the governor's prayer breakfast wearing flip-flops. That's my next level of betting.
Can you stay on the stage, though? That's the real question. No, I mean, I'm looking at Real Clear, and I think the other thing that people look at, besides just the raw numbers when you're looking at polling, is who has, like, the momentum? What's the direction? Like, how is it changing over time? And I'll show you this cute little graph. You see this?
Yes.
So clearly, there is a purple line that is way higher than everyone else's line. That's Trump. And DeSantis is clearly in second. Everyone else is way along the bottom. But DeSantis's line overall is going up. And Trump overall, even though he's still beating DeSantis, is going down. And so I think that, because, I mean, you can see if we were to extrapolate and draw this graph farther out, you could see these lines crossing at some point, I think.
And the polling says latest, now this is Fox News polling, poll numbers for what they are worth February. So the technically last month in February, Trump had a 15-point lead over DeSantis. Latest polling this morning shows it's different. It's changed a lot. Trump's got a 30-point lead now over DeSantis. And it's 2023. And I want to do this too, but don't tell anybody. All right, and what are the betting odds on that? By the way,
I have no idea.
Because you're
we should check
when it becomes legal, you'll be a sports.
Well,
guy.
yeah, I'll at least talk about it.
How do you handicap those odds? I had somebody send me a text yesterday, and she's like a stereotypical housewife. That's probably more of a business acquaintance. And she says, Brandon, I know you don't like to talk about the people on this show because you think it's silly. And I don't like to talk about AOC because Fox gives AOC more press than MSNBC or CNN. I wish Fox would shut up about AOC. And I don't give press to The View. But why what they say on The View is important, look at the number of people, especially since the government pandemic that started in 2020, the number of people that stay home and they're watching the TV while they're working from home, and they're watching The View. So you get a lot of these folks that stay home, they watch The View, and oh yeah, Whoopi Goldberg said this, so anyhow, this gal says, hey, just so you know, one of the gals on The View said something that I thought you might really like, Brandon. And I'm like, I'll listen to it, but I'm sure not going to play it on the show. Well, I evolved on that issue. Because of what was said, and I don't know, this doesn't mean I have the same mindset of The View, but it was definitely something that I could not ignore. This is Joy Behar on The View talking about Trump DeSantis.
And Trump is the one who needs to get the nomination because then the Democrats will win. He's a two-time loser.
So she's saying she wants, so as a hard-leaning progressive, she wants Trump to get the GOP nomination because she knows in a nationwide election, as much as we love Trump in our tent, in an election, he won't win the general. And The View agrees with me. Now I feel vindicated.
Well, I don't know where you actually check odds because, again, I do not bet, but I'm on Odds Checker, which is, when I Googled, was the first one that came up. And they've got Biden at plus 225. Donald Trump is at plus 300. DeSantis plus 440. If you get, like, and the next person in line is Harris at plus 3,300.
Oh.
So yeah.
You can get that line in Vegas, huh?
Yeah.
Apparently. But no, so the folks who are in the betting world seem to agree with The View in that most people are saying, yeah, it's going to be Biden. And I agree with you, Brandon. I think if it's Trump, then we get Biden.
And that's what scares, because I get it. And the Republicans are all, yeah, it's Trump. Trump is our guy. Yeah, when you go to CPAC, when you go to a Trump rally, yeah, he's your guy right then and there because you're surrounded of thousands of like-minded people. But the reality is, in a national election, there are so many people that the independents and the uncommitted, the politically unhoused, as we put it. Meanwhile, in our state's capital, it's kind of interesting. Missouri House backing a bill that would require state research on psychedelics to treat depression, post-traumatic stress disorder. Studies have shown over the years that things, and listen, there's a general acceptance now of not only the medical benefit of marijuana, but just, the benefit of use of marijuana. And we've been looking at this for a while, the use of psychedelics. Some very potent benefits from psychedelics when it comes to treating depression and PTSD. As a matter of fact, Dave Griffith, we were talking about Dave Griffith earlier, John. He's done incredible work for veterans here in mid-Missouri, but he's on board with this.
Yeah, it was funny because Dave was in the committee hearing the other day, and basically paraphrasing, he said, if you'd asked him 5 years ago, would we be in a veterans committee talking about psychedelics? He says, I'd have told you you're crazy, but he cited a bunch of research that's been done at Johns Hopkins and all sorts of places. It's really been effective. Some of the magic mushrooms and psychedelics on veterans with PTSD.
Yeah, and again, they keep using a lot of the newspapers. They use the name, and that's why it's going to get knocked. It's like when we talked about recreational weed. I think we even had somebody in the cannabis industry said, hey, something for you all to think about. Maybe instead of saying recreational weed, you could say recreational cannabis. And I said, okay, how come? And it's like, well, marketing. Imaging.
I was in a meeting and people kept saying reefer or something, and I'm like, y'all, it's not. Let's
Reefer madness. Cardinals, Royals getting underway today. Royals prognosis for the season, Cousin Andy?
Try and get to 500. That would be a wild success, I think, for the Royals.
Listen, years ago when I was dating, I wasn't dating a whole lot when I was dating because
because no one wanted to date you.
There was that.
He was still married.
The wife and the undateable aspect, those were issues when I was trying to date. But I finally had a friend of mine, and she says to me, you have these requirements or your wish list or whatever. She said, why don't you broaden your horizons? And I said to her, you mean lower my expectations? Because that's what it sounds like you're saying. When you say broaden your horizons, what I hear is lower your expectations. So expectations for the Royals, hopeful to get to 500.
Yeah, low expectations for the Royals.
What were the expectations going into, 2014 and 2015? The expectations for the Royals, they were not high.
Not really, no.
And look what they did back then. And the Cardinals, how are things looking for them?
Well, they have high expectations. They are expected to win the division again. And once they get to the playoffs, you would hope that they put together something a little bit better than they've had the last few years, which has been kind of one and done.
Wilson Contreras, new catcher, taking the place of Yadier Molina after almost 20 years. He's going to be donning special shoes today to honor Yadier Molina. And this is kind of cool. He has Yadier Molina's old locker room. Cardinals, Royals opening season today. We're going to open up in a few minutes here with What's Hot with Hannah. What do you have for us, Hannah?
Actually have a local story today. It's not super fun, but the Callaway County Sheriff's Department might need your help.
All right. Law enforcement needs our help. What do they need? We're going to find out. Coming up 7:25-ish in What's Hot morning, 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:26.
time for What's Hot with Hannah.
You know, normally for What's Hot with Hannah, I try to do something lighthearted, something to make you feel good, something to make you laugh or smile. Today is maybe not quite as fun as other days, but it is a local story.
You would see if you were watching on our YouTube channel, on YouTube, Wake Up Mid-Missouri. And here's how people are using that, by the way. They pop up YouTube on the TV in the morning, so when they're running around, when they come back from spring break here in Mid-Missouri, they can get all the local news and opinion, analysis, and all that. So they're putting it up on the YouTube TV in the morning and watching us. You would have just seen me and Stephanie both look at each other when Hannah, in introducing What's Hot with Hannah, says, well, the one today is not that fun.
And because we're often talking about escaped animals, I'm worried. Do I need to be on the lookout when I leave?
No escaped animals this time.
Florida man?
No Florida men. No hitmen involved in this story. It involves a local high school, North Callaway High School. And the Callaway County Sheriff's Office is investigating something that happened there. Have you seen this?
No.
Somebody over the weekend sheared off one of their uprights, one of their goalposts in the football stadium. Why are you laughing?
Because I think I wish I were a kid again.
But KRCG has done a little post about this. They posted pictures, and literally the bottom of the goalpost is sheared off. It looked like somebody took a saw to it and just knocked it down. And so the sheriff's office is trying to figure out why someone did that and who did it, because those things aren't cheap, I'm sure.
It's like a small town. If you're trucking a goalpost around town, surely someone saw.
Won the state championship is usually when that happens.
Yeah, no, they left the goalpost there.
Oh,
it's not missing. They literally just cut it down and left it.
So we need a good welder this morning to weld that thing back together. If you can, do they need money to buy a new goalpost?
I have not seen any GoFundMe links started yet for North Callaway High School.
So
maybe somebody thought it was a giant catalytic converter or something, tried to steal it.
Isn't there still a set of goalposts in the bottom of the Cumberland River from last year when Tennessee Volunteers football team knocked off?
I think there's chunks at Harpo's, I think is where they lit. Aren't there still chunks around?
That's where the goalposts at Mizzou always ended up at Harpo's.
Last year, I think they had to fish it out. I think that ended up being a big ordeal. They had to fish it out of the river.
And there's another bar. We could probably go to various bars. We'd go into Columbia because there's another bar in the Business Loop, and I can't remember if it's the Black and Gold or the Dive Bar, but it's one of those places, and they have some goalposts there. We could probably go this week, cruise up and down through some of these bars in Columbia, get various parts from various field goalposts, and if the officials in North Callaway County School District want us to come in, we will come in, and we'll have somebody fix that goalpost for you since I laughed about it.
What also makes me curious is whoever did this only cut down one of the goalposts. The other one is still standing. So I don't understand what the purpose of that was.
You know what I don't understand? This
Magic mushrooms.
Magic mushrooms.
That's what.
Magic Mike, I don't understand that either.
TikTok.
Computers, don't understand those real good either. And I don't understand, what's this propensity for politicians to come out with songs? Got Trudy Bush Valentine. Trump has the #1 song in the country right now.
Has America been fair to Donald Trump?
strike.
Well, if I'm worth $8 million, excuse me.
It's all public.
Excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, that's a lie. No, it is not public record.
Okay. Well, you made $1.7 million on your book.
Public record.
You made $1.7 on your book.
Excuse me. I've got the mic down.
I'm embarrassed as a dude. I'm embarrassed at these two old dudes yakking it out in Congress. That's Marquayne Mullen. He is a Republican from Oklahoma, and they're questioning the former CEO of Starbucks, Howard Schultz, and they're talking about Starbucks and how they're trying to stop efforts, rightfully so, to unionize employees at Starbucks, trying to unionize. We've seen traction here in Missouri on this. And this Marquayne Mullen from Oklahoma gets into Bernie Sanders, you're worth $8 million. Bernie said, no, I'm not. That's false. And even that's right-wing stuff on the internet. It's not true. Best I could tell, Bernie Sanders is worth $3.5 million. But he's working towards that $8 million level, because right now you can pay to go see him on this tour he's doing that trashes capitalism. It'll only cost you $95. So but it's just this is the stuff that happens in D.C., and I know we all know it.
Statement?
You had your time.
Probably not all, but every time you talk about...
But it's just, these are two grown men that just... I don't know. It's embarrassing, John, and frankly, you should feel that guilt too. Even though you had nothing to do with it, you should just feel guilty just because you're an old white dude, all right?
Okay.
All right. You feel that guilt?
I do feel it.
It's embarrassing, but it's the way it is. So let's move
What were
forward.
they supposed to do?
I know. I
start swinging at each other or something.
Bare knuckle fisted boxing.
Silence, though, is good, right? I mean, when Matt Gaetz went after Luke DeMeyer, what did he do? Nothing. And that was honestly, a bold play, and I can respect that, right? You're not even worth arguing with, right? I like that attitude.
Or I'll use the ploy my grandfather always did, because when I was 16, by the way, as we get into the summer hiring season, hire teenagers because they still know everything right now. So hire them. If you want a good employee in your workplace, hire teenagers. They know everything, just like we thought we did when we were teenagers. So I'd try to come at my grandfather with stupid teenager nonsense because I thought I knew everything. And my grandpa, instead of engaging me in any kind of foolish battle, he would just go, okay. That hurt. Much like my dad at the dinner table for years, when I would make some kind of comment and I thought I was being funny, and he would say this. He wouldn't call me names, or he wouldn't discipline me. He would just look at me and say, "You think you're cute, don't you?" I said, "Well, you're not." Man, that hurt.
That's the same as the gal. She's on the show. It's Alexis on Schitt's Creek. That show and she says, "I love that journey for you." It's like, bless your heart.
By the way, if you're looking for something to binge on once in a while on Netflix, Schitt's Creek is...
It's good.
It's very good. Welcome into the show. Our show, I think, is pretty good, too. My name is Branden Rathert. There's Stephanie Bell, producer Hannah, John Marsh, cousin Andy in for Brian Houseworth.
And we're often up a creek as well.
I'm wondering what it is with these politicians that are doing songs now. Have you heard what this was the number one song in the country last week, most downloaded song.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
More people got online, downloaded, paid for that song. They could have chosen Olivia Rodrigo,
Morgan Wallen,
Chris Stapleton,
Taylor Swift,
Jelly Roll, all of that. They're downloading. This is the Justice for All J6 choir. It's the J6 choir, and these are people in this choir that have been into jail for events relating to January the 6th. And now there's a choir, and it's interspersed with Trump doing the Pledge of Allegiance. It's the number one song in the country, which is good because it supplants, remember what was going to be the hit song of the summer?
It's the right time. She's the right choice with a caring heart. She's a brand new voice, an inspiration for all to see. Show me Missouri, show me Trudy.
If there were a political song hall of fame, that would be in it. I want Trudy Bush Valentine to run again, just so we can play that song.
No one wants that. And I'm trying to figure out why politicians think they need their own song. And I have a theory, though, but not from the left. Like, if you're a conservative, how many times have like conservatives played a song when they're just like their walk-up song? And artists these days are so woke, they're like, you can't use my song. So we probably have to come up with our own music because everyone who produces music is off the cliff on the left. But if you're on the left, you could just pick whatever song you wanted. So why are you trying to produce your own music?
And they do apparently just pick whatever crap they want.
Someone compared that to Puff the Magic Dragon song, and that is exactly what that sounds like.
Oh, you heard that here on Mid-Missouri, where we put the two songs together.
It's awful.
But you can hear how much they sound alike. Because we thought, well, it's plagiarism. I think this is the part where we got this.
An inspiration for all to see. Show me Missouri, show me Trudy. Oh, the magic dragon lived by the sea.
You hear it, Marsh?
That's it.
It's simple.
I think you're
Trudy flourished in the autumn mist or something like that. Wasn't that the original one?
Yeah.
And Puff the Magic Dragon actually is not a bad song. I think we're insulting them. The Bush Valentine song is bad, but there's somebody that had a good song out recently, I guess.
Who was it?
Somebody sent this to me. Jamila Nasheed. She served in the Senate and then she ran in St. Louis for the BOA president. She's not elected now, but her song is actually good, I think.
And she deserves a credit trying to raise the minimum, so maybe we can get her let it. Ambassador of change. See, things cannot remain, and when Jamila is elected, things are gonna change. In fact,
when Jamila is elected, didn't she lose her last election?
Well, I don't know, but if I ever run for elected office, I'm calling that guy, not the Bush Valentine guy.
Have you heard? Incidentally, it's funny. I know the girls tease me sometimes on the show. I listen to very little talk radio. I like to listen to Randy Tobler. He's on 4 to 6. Matter of fact, he's here a little bit after 8 o'clock this morning. I love it when Tobler comes on the show. Sometimes I listen to the first few minutes of the Gary Nolan show, also very good. But I just don't listen to talk radio. And when I do listen to radio, I flip around, but I have found myself increasingly going to a top 40 station. It's Y107, and I'm a 52-year-old grandfather. I'm not supposed to be listening to our top 40 station like that. I'm listening to Cat Country, Clear 99, Andy Humphrey, who's filling in for Brian Houseworth this morning. Listen to him on the sports, but I'm not supposed to be listening to Y107. And I don't know, and again, I'll own it. Maybe it's the old fuddy-duddy me. Have you heard some of the songs that play on top 40 radio nowadays?
Yes.
There's one song by an artist, and it's SZA, but apparently it's pronounced. I feel.
Don't look at me.
I feel uncomfortable even saying the word SZA, but it's pronounced like SZA. I'm not cool enough to say that word. That's why I'm uncomfortable saying. She's from St. Louis, actually.
You in Portnoy. He tried to pronounce it and got it way wrong at one point. But yeah, SZA.
SZA from St. Louis. She's a Missouri girl. And she has a song, Kill Bill. And it's this song where she's some kind of crazy chick. And she goes in, she says, I just killed my ex. And then she goes in and I just killed his girlfriend and all that stuff. But you have some radio stations, and it's weird because that's the way I first heard it in its original form. Just saying, I just killed my ex. And then, so I guess radio stations are now playing the edited form of the song. I think it sounds worse. So if you hear it like that, I've automatically, the Assumption song, my ex. You want to talk about favorite F words that Mark Alford was talking about on the show today? Fertilizer, family, and finances, or fuel, whatever the 4 F words are. That's what it's...
The bleeped version is almost worse.
Okay, so it's not just... So when they bleep it, it sounds worse than me. But I guess people, they can't handle the word kill in a song. It's art. It's just art. It's just a song. Not saying we should go out and kill people. We're not like, who's the gal who works for the governor of Arizona? Governor Katie Hobbs. One of her staffers, boom, fired on the spot, put out a horrible tweet as it relates to the school shooting in Nashville. She's gone. She was, in effect, condoning gun violence against anybody who is transphobic, which is a BS term. just because you want common sense laws, you want little girls to compete in sports fairly, you want laws like that, you're not a transphobe. You just have common sense. She got fired just like that. So that's one of the songs. There's another song, and I hate to admit this again. I'm going to lose. If I have any street cred, I'm losing it all right now.
I hope you're going to play Cuffing Season by SZA. That's a better song than that other one.
Maybe.
I had to explain to Brandon what Cuffing Season was.
Oh, my God.
John, tell us.
Actually, no, I'm not surprised he wouldn't know what that was.
John, you're the news guy. Tell us what cuffing season is.
No, I'll let you do it.
And that's actually, I don't think, the name of the song. I'm also old.
What is cuffing season?
Hannah.
Seriously? I thought Stephanie explained it to you. Do you not remember?
I just wasn't listening.
Oh, okay. Cuffing season is just kind of like that time of year everybody's starting new relationships. Like you're getting cuffed, you're starting a relationship. It's not that deep, guys.
That's a horrible term. You're implying negativity about relationships. You have to get
like being arrested,
cuffed up, and lose your freedoms, and lose your ability to do what it is that you want to do when you want to do it the way you want to do it. What a horrible name, cuffing season. That's so negative.
The song's actually called Big Boy, apparently, not Cuffing Season.
Oh, that is a good song.
I like that one.
Here's another song. Mommy don't know Daddy's getting hot at the body shop.
Doing something unholy.
If you have not seen the karaoke carpool or whatever video with Sam Smith, my favorite ever. He is great.
And I actually like that song. And I think those songs are for, 12 and 15-year-old girls.
That one's not. I don't think that one is.
And I'm 52 years old now.
What's funny is the songs that you're playing are songs that in part owe their popularity to TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yes.
About that.
They're very popular TikTok sounds.
Yeah, I showed Brandon why that other SZA song got popular, the cuffing one that talks about a big boy, because it's all Travis Kelce videos in front of it.
So that's what your kids are listening to on the radio. Coming up a few minutes from now, the benefits of taking a cold shower. Or there's health benefits.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, cold plunge.
Yeah, cold plunge. What are those health benefits, and would you even be willing to
People are doing a lot more on their phones these days behind the wheel, dangerously, I might add, anywhere from posting to social media to recording videos to taking Zoom video calls.
Nick Chaparria, she is with the AAA. Chat with our news partners at ABC 17. This is regarding legislation that's moving forward in Jefferson City as it relates to texting and driving, and it looks like it's going to pass. And I would still argue. I don't think anybody would come on the record and say, "Oh yeah, I think it's just window dressing." And you can look at some specific cases though where this would be a tack-on thing, especially in some of the most egregious cases where people are hurt. Welcome into the show. It's Wake Up Mid-Missouri. A couple of other songs really quick before we move forward and talk about the benefits of cold showers. We were talking about SZA. She is a gal from St. Louis. We just got to talking about politicians' songs from Donald Trump to Trudy Bush Valentine to Jamila Nasheed from here in Missouri. And we got talking about songs that your kids and grandkids are listening to this stuff on Top 40 Radio. But Stephanie turned me on to another song from an artist named SZA. She is the one from St. Louis. The lyrics to the song. He brings in my groceries in just one trip.
Honestly, that's a flex.
That is.
Stephanie liked that one. And the one, this still gets played sometimes, the one that always caught my attention, it was a song from Katy Perry. And I don't pay attention to a lot of these top 40 artists until the past couple of months, but I know it was like 10 years ago or so, she had a really big hit song with something called Dark Horse. And at the end of her song, it's a great song. Love the song Dark Horse. But at the end of the song,
she's a beast. I call her karma. She eats your heart out like Jeffrey Dahmer.
She eats your heart out like Jeffrey Dahmer. I wonder if that's one of those things that would get bleeped if it were played on Top 40 Radio today.
Hopefully not, because we just played it.
So, cold water, the benefits of cold water, like taking cold shower. People say it wake you up and revives you and refreshes you.
Yeah, Dr. Huberman's like big right now. He's like is he Stanford? Anyway, he's got a PhD and he's all into the cold plunge. You can actually like buy cold plunge tubs. It's like an outdoor bathtub that you dunk yourself in for, I think they say like 2 to 5 minutes.
And the argument is it can, number one, it keeps you uber focused. So in other words, you got a lot of stress happening in life. It's the kids, the next trip, whatever it is. You can keep that stuff because you're so focused on the fact that it's freaking cold. But there are benefits, apparently, to the heart, especially when you're doing like 2 to 5 minutes at a time because it slows everything down.
And like your metabolism, I think.
Yeah. I remember years ago, we were at the courthouse downtown St. Louis when I was in high school, and there was some high-powered attorney or judge and was talking to, I was 15 at the time, and I asked him, a very successful guy, I'm like, what's the secret to, after we were all walking out, I pulled him aside, what's the secret to your success? And he says, I take a cold shower every morning. And I said, really? He said, yeah. He says, it gets me motivated, it gives me energy, and it sucks.
Yeah, it reminds me, like, in science class, I remember, like, kids trying to, like, put their hand in, like, the ice bucket for as long as, like, boys showing off, and they were like, I'm going to hold my hand in this cold ice bucket for as long as I can. That was, like, weird games. But, no, it has, like, mental health benefits as well.
Look at opening day of baseball season. Pitchers, icing up their arms in the ice-filled whirlpool to recover, reduce inflation and inflammation and all that. Well, there you go.
Inflation. We need to
that's all it took, right?
Right.
Dump a big old bucket of cold water on America to fight inflation.
I haven't done the cold plunge, but I do the face dunk. You get a bowl of ice water and you put your face in it, and it like, if you're feeling a little puffy or whatever, you can dunk your face in ice water. It'll wake you up and it'll reduce inflammation.
I used to have to keep my ankle in a bucket of ice water for like 10 minutes at a time back in high school. That was not fun. Your toes hurt.
Yeah, it just doesn't sound fun. Health benefits aside, doesn't sound fun. But apparently there are some.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. Not for these, not for this, not a thing for this dude.
I think you should try it and report back.
I'm already going out on a limb. Did I tell you what I'm doing today?
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised by this.
I'm getting a pedicure.
Oh, finally.
Good for you.
Thank God.
Don't tell anybody. I'm embarrassed. Coming up, Randy Tobler, host of the Randy Tobler Show.
Not going to be able to climb trees like a cat anymore, Brandon.
He's here at 8:10.
What is happening?
Broadcasting live from the Zimmer Communications World Headquarters.
Great news for the American people.
This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri with Branden Rathert, featuring Stephanie Bell, News Director Brian Houseworth, John Marsh, and Hannah, the producer.
This is why we listen to you.
Get ready, pal. And now, here's your host, Branden Rathert.
President Biden's numbers among Democrats, about 55% of the people think that they're just not quite sure he's up to the job of being president or finishing a sentence, for that matter. He could draw opposition.
All right, and he's just getting warmed up. Senator John Kennedy, Republican from Louisiana. Man, I would pay money to see that guy, like at a comedy club, maybe at the good amphitheater in John. Where would you, John and Jeff, if we were to hold this concert? Let's see, we could do it. We could do it in Ashland, at the new venue there from Nick Parks. Lakeside. We could do it. Where, if we did this in Jefferson City, where would we do it, Marsh?
Probably the Capital Region Amphitheater would probably be a good place out on the east side there.
John Kennedy opens up for like 15 minutes. Headliner, Donald Trump, 2-drink minimum. Swear, I'd pay money.
Opening act, Branden Rathert, who has quite the stand-up experience.
That's overselling it a bit, John.
Well, you're correct in that I have the experience, and I appreciate your accuracy in not saying that, oh, it's good, it's bad.
You can find it on YouTube, actually.
I just said experience, that's all further.
That's
we took
right.
it.
You didn't say he was good. Randy Tobler hosts the Randy Tobler Show weekdays 4 o'clock here on the radio station. Randy, here's how times have changed in this woke attitude and cancel culture and all this. So when I quit drinking 949 days ago, I used to be worried. Like I'd be worried about giving my because Branden's my middle name. I've gone by Branden all my life, and I'd be worried if somebody found out my first name was Henry, they were going to get onto CaseNet and stuff like that, and they were going to
search you up
and search me up and find, oh my gosh, he stole some fishing poles and stole this and he did that and he did that. That worried me. I'm not worried about that stuff anymore because I've been open and honest about it, and I've changed my life. I don't behave that way anymore. You know what scares me the most, Randy Tobler?
What is it?
That somebody's going to get onto YouTube and see my quote-unquote stand-up comedy, and it's not good. It really isn't. See my stand-up comedy and go, oh, they're going to freak out about that, not the fact that I have a criminal record. You know what I mean? That's how the times have changed.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. But I'd love to see that. Is that still available on YouTube? I'll have to. Maybe we'll play that today on the show. Thanks for giving me that tip. I could do some of that.
Well, if you do, there's a couple pieces. Dating women in a wheelchair.
Oh, man. Oh, you would be canceled immediately, dude.
Yeah, don't play that on the Tobler Show today. But to see if he does, Randy comes on 4 o'clock this afternoon here on the radio station. This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri. I am Branden Rathert. It's Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Producer Hannah.
Hello.
Mr. Marsh is here.
Ahoy there.
Coming up at 8:35, Andy Humphrey, who does an afternoon sports show on our sports station, KTGR. He's been the guy filling in. By the way, he does good. I love it when he fills in for Brian Houseworth. Miss Brian, but love it when Andy is here. Cousin Andy, because he comes by. He does those drive-by visits. He's here for a couple of days, and then he goes back to Des Moines, Iowa. So Andy is here. You're going to be talking about
where he's from? I wouldn't know where.
I don't know. He's from Houston, actually. But the upcoming baseball season, new rule changes. So if you're a Royals fan, Cardinals fan, Randy's going to explain some of these changes as it relates to baseball. And I will tell you now, I don't like the changes. You know, I don't like these new changes, Randy, on the baseball, the pitch clock, the batter's clock. You know why I don't like it?
Why?
Because this is the old ways, the way we've always done it. It's changed. I
heard you talking about that yesterday, or was it a couple days ago anyway? And you know what? I really think that there's a better reason than that's the way we always done it. I know you're kidding there, but I just don't. The other day I was listening to a preseason game, and it was a Cardinals game, and all the guys could talk about was, oh, the clock's going to run out. Oh, that's an extra stress. I mean, it was this obsession with the clock, and instead of the strategy of the game, which is the beautiful part of baseball.
Man, I want to ask you. Stephanie was dropping some poll numbers on us this morning. Polling, for what it's worth, it's 2023. A lot of the folks that are getting mentioned in these presidential polls, they haven't even declared they're running for president yet. I'm obviously a huge Trump fan, believe 100% DeSantis would have a far better chance than Trump at winning a general election. But new polling numbers this morning from Fox say
Trump's still...
I'm wrong. Trump up by 30 points this morning.
Yes.
Have you taken as you kind of start to poke around DeSantis, who is not declared, Vivek Ramaswamy, who I'm also a big fan of. I'm liking his stuff. He's showing up a little bit in the polls. Any thoughts on DeSantis or Ramaswamy?
Well, I like both of their messaging, and I think that they're a lot less tarnished candidates than Donald Trump. They don't have that same energy when they're aspirational, though. I mean, Trump, there's something about the guy. You look at his rallies, and there's just something about fighting for the common man, the lost American. And how many of us feel that way now with weaponization of the DOJ? We can't even go to a board meeting without Merrick Garland having a target on our back. And there's something about him I like. I wish he could shed the whining and the griping over what has happened in the past. That's water under the bridge. Let's move forward. Man, I still think he could be a powerhouse. I just don't know if he's capable of shedding that. On the other hand, Ramaswamy may be a little bit too professorial sometimes, but the messaging is right on. If you listen to it and unpack it, you have to work a little bit to do that. And DeSantis, my God, what better track record can you have than the way he managed freedom and safety, unbalanced those in Florida, and made a lot of the right calls earlier than anyone else. So, and gosh, the guy's a military, guy, and he's been deployed. I like him a whole lot, and I hope he sees more traction.
The other benefit I see to DeSantis, he could run 2 terms. He could do 2 consecutive terms. Trump wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, you're right.
Let's say Trump, if he were to get elected in 2024, then in another 4 years, we're right back at it where there would be more stability and I think ultimately a better chance for DeSantis to win a general election. As Vivek Ramaswamy said when he was asked, is this Trump's party? Vivek Ramaswamy said, and this is one of the reasons I'm starting to man crush on this dude. Fangirl on this dude is that he said, listen, it's the party of the people that want to put America first. Our guest, Randy Tobler, hosts the Randy Tobler Show weekday afternoons at 4.
Randy, what do you think of Donald Trump going with those made-for-social media videos where he's dismantling the deep state and, saving the suburbs and all? What do you think of that plan right now?
Well, I think it plays well to a lot of our instincts that are sort of base and primal these days. I mean, do we have to ask about let's admit it, everyone, we've been addicted to either Facebook Reels or TikTok for even a little bit. So those kind of things that are hyperbolic and creative and a little bit pushing the edge in terms of propriety, they seem to resonate with a lot of us these days because a lot of us are just darn angry with the abuse that the common man is taking and, at the behest of a state that says one thing but does another. Are you listening, IRS knocking at the door of Matt Taibbi? I mean, that's chilling stuff.
Speaking of chilling stuff.
Oh, point. I already know. Point. Can we get a big round of applause for Stephanie? Because I already know where you're going.
Brandon's been telling us that we should be taking a cold shower in the morning, and apparently it's good for your health. Brandon's not a doctor.
Well, Brandon may have had other reasons for taking a cold shower, but we'll talk about that on the overnight show. Now, look, there are some potential limited with poor quality evidence benefits for immune system. It does enhance your circulation a little bit. There was a Scandinavian study that said that you could bump up your immune system 25%. But there's some problems. The metabolic increase that you get when you take a cold shower is very short-lived, so in terms of weight loss, probably not a big deal. Here's a bigger concern. The shock to your body, if you jump into a really cold shower or do the polar bear dive, for anyone who has any kind of risk factors for heart disease or maybe is a little older, you can develop arrhythmias. The demand on your cardiovascular system goes way up suddenly, and it's almost like an instant fight or flight response. So I would be cautious. If you're going to do it, just start warm and cool it down gradually. I think that's a much safer and more prudent thing to do. But probably better off for all of the benefits we talked about. Just generally eat better and take a brisk walk every day and lift a few weights.
Take care of you. Eat healthy. Get some exercise.
Yep.
And I want to ask you, while we're talking about benefits, And this has been out there for a lot of years, and there again becomes more of this growing acceptance. We've got legalized marijuana. I know you and I disagree on the merits of medicinal marijuana, but what do you take as we start to move forward in the Missouri legislature, this idea of psilocybin, psychedelics to treat depression, to treat PTSD, especially in veterans? What is your take on that?
Well, look, I think if it's a validated and under controlled circumstances treatment that works better than other things we have right now, I'm all for it. The problem is because of some of the connection and the stigma and the availability of illicit substances, I'm afraid it's going to validate people using things maybe in ways they shouldn't, that it might be very harmful. There are some controlled studies in very controlled environments, in research settings where there's been some benefit shown. But like I said, there's a lot of other good things about there. When it comes to the medicinal marijuana, by the way, there's already a cannabinoid that's FDA approved for, use in pediatric populations. I'd be much more comfortable if we use the active substance in a controlled way. And we know that, if you eat the particular pill or the gummy, you know what you're getting and you know what the safety limits are on it, too. So I'm okay with these things. We just have to be careful and not let them get out of hand and let them get popularized to where people then use street versions of these things that could be really, really very, very harmful for them and their kids if they get into the medicine cabinet or into the mushroom cabinet.
Want to thank you for highlighting Dan Waterman. He's, as we look across Lake and Jefferson City, Mark Schwartz, Scott, Mr. Spencer, easy votes. You look to the city of Columbia. It's interesting there when we look at the city council race because you and I don't even want to give the guy's name. To me, it's like Fox giving AOC press, but you had one guy on the other day who's running in the 5th ward. This guy is incredibly dangerous and frightening, and I cringe to think of what happens if this guy gets elected. Do appreciate you highlighting Mr. Waterman, 5th Ward. So when you're trying to figure out who it is that I vote for, City of Columbia, 5th Ward, it's Mr. Waterman, School Board, Potter, and Basie. What's coming up on your show this afternoon, Randy?
Well, of course, we have Jennifer Bukowski joining us at 5. There's always a panoply of interesting topics when Jennifer's on. I want to ask her about some testimony in the Senate the other day and where that's going with they scorched Merrick Garland pretty well. And then I'm hoping to talk to someone who's really in on the whole woke movement and destroying it, and an insider who has converted, in terms of some of the trans stuff. So that's a fight we're going to keep fighting on the program because it's a cultural sea change we can't allow to go on in this country.
To your point on the woke stuff, I keep thinking we're in snapback here. We got so far out there, like that rubber band of wokeness got stretched real hard. Yeah. Somebody finally let go and it's snapping back. And I point to Mizzou getting rid of diverse DEI statements. I point to people like Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot not getting reelected. I point to people like our Attorney General, Mr. Bailey, going after people like Kim Gardner. I point to Disney, thousands and thousands of layoffs to improve their bottom line. They're saying, well, it's because of streaming issues and the expenses. No, it's because your last several movies, people ain't going to see them anymore. I think it's snapback. Can't wait for your show this afternoon. Randy Tobler Show, weekdays 4 to 6 here on the radio station. We appreciate you, man.
Hey, and me, you too. Thanks a lot.
We'll see you, bud. Coming up, 8:25, Morning Bell Business News, little twist only Stephanie Bell can give you.
What's the opposite of a smartphone?
Dumb phone. That was my automatic answer. Makes sense? Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Okay. That's Wait, are you making fun of my choice of phones?
Yours is just a brick, I think.
All right. The opposite of a smartphone. Stephanie has that story for us coming up 5 minutes from now. Hello. It's 8:26, time for the Morning Bell. Business news, little twist only Stephanie Bell can give you.
Futures are looking up this morning. And I ask you, Brandon, what is the opposite of a smartphone?
Dumb phone. Seriously, the first answer that comes to mind.
Apparently. I don't know. Where'd we get the term smartphone anyway? It's like a pocket computer, basically. But dumb phones are on the rise thanks to Hannah and friends. And I've also seen this with digital camera. So when I was in college,
Back in my day,
I had a dumb phone, and you could take photos, but they weren't good. And so you had to carry around like a little digital camera in your purse. And I've seen this lately. A lot of Gen Z is now carrying a little digital camera. Like, check this out. Isn't this cool? You can take it to Walmart and get it developed. What's the price of developing film now? I'm sure it's ridiculous.
I'm not sure, but I know like Polaroid cameras are kind of having a moment. They became popular, a year or two ago?
Yeah, I saw somebody at a birthday party got one of those, and it was the most popular gift at the old-fashioned Polaroid.
I bought them for my girls. They have the little new Polaroid. But so dumb phones are actually on the rise. And when was the last time you heard of Nokia? Remember those? They were like, you could have injured someone with that Nokia phone. Nokia and flip phones are seeing a resurgence. Gen Z, and especially in the U.S., as folks are trying to limit their screen time. And we are, I think, what did Randy Tobler say? We're simple-minded people, or,
I think he just meant us, so.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're a country who invented ways to monitor the temperature on cans of Coors beer, but haven't figured out how to do it with a jug of milk yet. So, yeah, we are simple-minded people.
So we lack the discipline to just not scroll TikTok on your smartphone. And so instead, what we do is apparently buy a phone that you can't even put TikTok on. And that's how Gen Z is handling the screen time thing. I do think we've been talking a lot this week about productivity hacks, whether you're taking a cold shower, whether you get a nemesis. And I do think I've heard this, make it easy for yourself, right? And I think that's why people are going back to Nokia. Like, if you have a problem scrolling, make it easy for yourself. Get a Nokia phone, and guess what? You can't scroll.
Man, I remember my first phone. I was one of the first of my friends to get a phone, and I had a slider phone. It slid out into a full keyboard. I thought I was cool.
You were something. But make it easy on yourself in the morning. I've seen like this guy, he really wanted to he was getting older, and he's like, I don't do skincare or pedicures or anything like that, Brandon, but I need to put sunscreen on in the morning. And so he's like, I brush my teeth every morning. So I just putting the sunscreen bottle by the toothbrush and having to see it every morning. He's like, now I put on sunscreen every morning.
What could possibly go wrong there?
and he said, and or medication, put it by your bedside, or, and so we are simple-minded, right? And so making your day easier and reminding yourself to do things sometimes by just taking away options might be the best plan.
How did you remind yourself to wear Cardinals gear this morning, Steph?
Yeah, that did not work out for me.
John just got a new phone. How long did you have your Droid?
Oh, gosh, what were you saying, 6 years?
6, 7 years. Mine, 7 years. Power of a Droid. Coming up, there's new rules in baseball that us old guys don't like, explained by Andy Humphrey.
I think just local news is the most important stuff to me, even though it's kind of bad stuff going on around me, but it's the most relevant to me.
Where I come from, there's an old plowboy out turning up dirt. Where I come from, there's a preacher man in a cowboy shirt. Where I come from, where a couple boys fight in the parking lot. No, nobody's gonna call the cops. Where I come from. See that door right there? Man, I swear that it ain't there.
then why can't you just build a kill switch? Or why can't you have Fauci just invent a virus and give it to the computer? Lastly, the thing I want to say, I agree with Judge. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
They're talking about artificial intelligence, AI. Jesse Waters, friend of Wake Up Mid-Missouri, has been on the show before on the 5 yesterday with Judge and the other folks on there talking about ChatGPT. We got turned on to this October, November.
We're OG ChatGPT users.
Right on. And it is, Stephanie turned me on to it, and I was kind of like, yeah, it's scary good. I was just telling Aunt, what was the way I explained it or described my reaction to using this artificial intelligence stuff?
You kind of asked it to, write a breakup letter to, your girlfriend or something like that, or, some other stuff. And you thought it was a little too scary.
It's scary good, and I don't think I mean scary good in the right way. Like, it was remarkable. We had to write breakup letters to girlfriends, write papers on stuff, a resignation letter from Dr. Yearwood, Columbia Public School District Superintendent, and the knowledge this thing has. I mean, Stephanie, I've sat here and I've been flabbergasted, like, man, this thing is really good. We had the principal of Elias, I think it was on last month, John, talking about from the educational standpoint.
They got some real fears about it, didn't they?
And now with Bard, which I guess is the Google version of artificial intelligence, it's like since November, it's
getting smarter.
And quick. As a matter of fact, we highlighted a story earlier this week. Somebody used Bard and said, type a paper on the accomplishments of Joe Biden. And it did. And then what happened when we asked it to do the same for the previous president?
Oh, yeah, it's slanted.
Yeah. So there's
a little bit biased.
But now Elon Musk, Steve Wozniak, some folks are writing letters, an open letter saying, hey, let's settle down on the AI right now. So if Elon Musk is getting a little freaked out about the advances in technology that we are making, when they're using phrases in this letter like, quote, profound risks to society and humanity, is that a scare tactic, or am I proper to be just a little wigged out?
I'm freaked out.
Okay. All right. John, how do you feel about things?
Oh, I remain to be seen, but yeah, it just sounds like back to the Terminator movies where it became self-aware.
Yeah. And this thing like with Bard, so the ChatGPT, I'm telling you, if you haven't played around on it, it's fun. It's startling. Those are some of my reactions. I'm like when you're growing up as a kid, you hear that, and in the future, we're going to have flying cars. We're going to live in outer space and all this stuff. And with this ChatGPT, that was like one of the first times in life I'm like, man, I remember watching Jetsons as a kid. This stuff is really starting to happen now. Like, there is artificial computer intelligence. This is crazy. First time in my life that I've really been like, whoa. But now it's next level stuff. So now it's video. So where we could just say, write a letter praising Andy Humphrey, praising Cousin Andy. It would do it. We'd be like, wow, it's so remarkably accurate. But now you can do video and voice. Photos. It's alarming. Welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Mid-Missouri. My name is Branden Rathert. It's nice to meet you. There's my good friend Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
There's producer Hannah.
Hello.
Mr. John Marsh is here.
No, I'm here.
And, of course, Andy Humphrey. Andy Humphrey hosts an afternoon show on our sports talk station. And it's a really good show. One of the things I dig about it is it's not just all sports. And that's, I think, the misnomer is, it's just all sports. And it's actually, it's a pretty good show. Stephanie said early, now if you're watching on our YouTube channel, we're real easy to find on YouTube.
Yeah, we're just Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
Somebody on the show here put out a memo to the interns and support staff and said, hey, let's wear Cardinal baseball gear in honor of opening day for the St. Louis Cardinals and the Kansas City Royals. And if you're watching on our YouTube channel, you'll see that only one of us is wearing Cardinals gear.
Yeah.
It's Andy.
It's Andy.
Sure.
So we're honoring the Kansas City Royals, St. Louis Cardinals opening day, and there's new changes in baseball to make the game quicker. And frankly, like when I go to ball games, because I remember as a kid, man, I'd go with my grandparents. And my grandparents had money, and our family did not. And I loved going to ball games because we got to eat. We were eating $5 hot dogs even back in 1981. They were fine, but we were eating, and I loved it. And the longer the game lasted, it was like, great. That means we get to eat some more.
Yeah, I think the only one more agitated than you about the length of the game is probably Budweiser, maybe. I mean, it's going to affect. I assume it will affect some business there.
So I'm wondering how this works. And Andy's going to explain these rule changes, but I wonder, does that mean that more people are, the game is it's 30 minutes shorter now, I will put on TV and watch it? Or because the issue isn't attendance at ballparks, is it?
I don't think so. I mean, it could be. It could be a way to get more people into the building. I mean, if you think about it, if it's a shorter game, especially when you have so many games that play during the week, a family of 4 is probably going to be more likely to go to a game if it's shorter when they know it's a school night and they want to, get home as quickly as they can. At the same time, there's drawbacks to it. Like, you don't have as much time to lay back or get a snack, get a hot dog, things like that. So, I mean, there's give and take. But
see, now you're talking from the everyman's point of view for dudes like me that want to go and get the nachos and nachos at Busch Stadium and the hot dogs are
cold
incredible.
Beverage, yeah.
And trying to race and do that with crunch time, the innings will be the same length, or
it's the same amount of innings. It's the same number of outs. It's not going to change that at all.
But the in between innings.
In between innings, I don't think it's changed much. There's still a clock, and they've had a clock in between innings for a few years now, something like 2.5 minutes or something of that nature.
So when you go to Kaufman or Busch this year, you watch the games on TV, listen to them on the radio, and it was kind of inadvertently a good thing, because on one of our radio stations, 93.9 The Eagle, we get hate mail whenever the Cardinals come on. We do. So the good news is the games will be shorter. Rule changes, bottom line. How do they work?
Well, okay, so the pitch clock is the thing that's going to make the game most likely shorter. Batter's got to be in the batter's box and alert to the pitcher by about 8 seconds on the pitch clock. I believe the full time is, I think it's 15 or 16 seconds, somewhere around there. And that's the amount of time that the pitcher has to catch the ball from the catcher and pitch the ball again. 15 seconds.
15 seconds. Previous play is over, man on base, out, whatever. Yeah. Pitcher gets the ball. 15 seconds. And a clock is going to start, and the batter has 15 seconds to get in the batter.
The batter has less time. The batter's got to be alert to the pitcher by like 8 seconds on the timer. And if they don't get called, and if they're not alert to the pitcher, then they get called for an automatic strike. If the pitcher doesn't throw in time, then it's an automatic ball.
But like in basketball, there's a shot clock to prevent you from just like passing the ball around and being boring.
So the pitcher has 15 seconds. He gets the ball. The pitcher has 15 seconds. But where does the batter doesn't have 15 seconds? He only has.
So the batter, the time is still going to roll, but the batter itself, what we've seen in the enforcement of this during spring training is that around the 8-second mark, the batter's got to be ready for the pitch.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Bases.
Or else they get called for an automatic strike.
It sounds like my kids have developed a game when they're unloading the dishwasher that they set a timer on Alexa, and they're like, how fast can we unload the dishwasher?
Nice incentives.
Makes it a little bit more exciting. I don't know. I like
so
this.
The benefit, I guess, if you're a fan and you don't like watching the baseball on TV, it'll go a little bit quicker. Pickoff attempts.
Yeah, those are limited now, too. I think you only have 2 per batter. So, like, you can only throw over to first if there's a guy on twice. And
so
then,
if you just, like, forget and you do it again, what's the penalty? If
I believe it's all...
doesn't it?
That's a good question. I believe it's either an automatic ball against the current hitter, or you get to advance a base. I'm not sure.
Bill off Texas, I'll watch on TV now. 874-9390. Thank you, Bill. And the bases are bigger?
The bases are bigger, yes. They are now 18 square inches instead of 15 square inches. It kind of looks like a big old pizza box.
That looks like Little League.
And the idea behind that, so are they making it easier to score? Or are they saying it's safety reasons?
Easier, safety reasons, because you have those plays at first base where, like, the first baseman has to be on the bag, ready to catch a ball from the fielder to get the guy out, and then you've got a runner running full speed at the exact same base, and so it gives a little bit more space for those guys to kind of both touch the bag and avoid some of those collisions, which have been pretty dangerous in the game last few years. And it also could increase base stealing because now
they're
a
bigger,
base steal,
they're easier to pick
the
up.
The bases are bigger, and the distance between them is now slightly smaller.
And then the shift, and see, this is the stuff. Okay, maybe the clock on timing the pitcher and timing the batter, but no more shifts on the infield. So this is where you might have your first baseman, your second baseman, and your shortstop all go to like one side of the field and outside.
Yeah.
And so they're cracking down on shifts. How is that working?
Yeah, I mean, this is the one that I dislike the most, actually. Yeah. Essentially, you need two infielders on either side, and they need to be on the infield dirt. So they can't be backing up into like the outfield grass. They actually have to be touching the infield dirt by the time that the pitch is thrown. Now, once the pitch is thrown, they can move wherever they want, and we might see something like little motion by the infielders right as the pitch is being thrown, so that then guys are actually going to have three on one side. But that's the one that I dislike the most.
Are they testing the changes? Like, do we have them for just a year? Or like, will they reconsider them? And like,
I mean, I assume that they'll look and see whether or not they're actually working. I think they will lead to shorter games. As far as the shift, they just want more base hits and more balls in play.
Batting average stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Increase the scoring. So in the NFL, is it true they're going to get rid of the offensive line? They're changing rules in the football, like no more offensive lines. Is that because they want to increase scoring?
That'd be great.
874-9390. Bill is in Jefferson City this morning. What's up, Bill?
I'm actually in Chillicothe listening to you on the app this morning. Thank you for the app. But Brandon, you got me so upset with the rule changes. I don't even know if I'm going to watch today now. But one of the rules that I'm really annoyed with is the pickoff move to first base. If you got a runner that can run after the second attempt over there, and you don't get him, the runner gets to advance. The rule changes are crazy this year. I don't think it benefits the game at all. But my biggest flaw with watching a game in a stadium is it's gone to a cashless society. Last year we went and my credit card got charged 3 times for one swipe, and it took almost a month and a half to get it credited back. So I mean, I don't even enjoy going to the game live anymore between the cost of parking, the cost of concessions. I mean, you went there for the overall experience, the sights and the smells, and that's all gone.
The crime.
Yeah, Bill, thank you for the phone call. We appreciate you being a part of Wake Up Mid-Missouri. So if you do 2 pickoff attempts, don't get them on either one?
So if you make a third pickoff attempt and you don't catch the runner, then they automatically get the base.
Wow.
A lot of text on this, actually. Bill says, yeah, I'll watch on TV. Paul says, problem with baseball, there's too many games. They need to cut it in half, make the games count. Mike says they could sell beer later into the game, like they do with the Blues. So, what is it, 7th inning, they quit selling the beer?
Yeah, after 7th inning, they cut it off.
So now that it's a shorter amount of time in the stadium, do they say, oh, you go ahead and get you some booze? And
I don't know if they'll change that, actually, because, I mean, again, it could end quicker, and it's about, making sure that there's a buffer time in between when you're selling it and then when the game ends.
So you can nap it off.
Yep.
Can drive back home to Mid-Missouri. Coming up a few minutes from now, we're going to be doing some leftovers. A couple of things we didn't get a chance to. By the way, check out Andy Humphrey's show when you're poking around on the Tobler show, Andy Humphrey show.
A big old serving of leftovers. Enjoy.
Mom and Pop Business Week, hat and premier sales in Callaway County. Check out what they do. Mom and Pop business, successful one right here in mid-Missouri, employing people, dumping a bunch of money into the economy over the years. Hat and premier sales, want to thank them. What you got for leftovers, Steph?
Well, I like Bill's text. He's just saying, hey, FYI, they've been using some of these rule changes in the minors already, and so they've already kind of been piloting them. I think most people are asking, what about my adult softball league out at Binder? And I don't think the changes are coming there just yet, but I know a lot of folks are looking forward to those adult leagues coming up this summer. Also, we talked yesterday about the election bills advancing in the legislature, and another one that we've heard about here, we had Representative Rudy Veit talking about bringing back the presidential primary, and that is another bill that actually advanced in the House yesterday. And if you recall, there's a big election omnibus bill last year that got rid of the presidential primary just from a cost perspective, and we go back to caucuses, and now they're thinking maybe we want to undo that. So not across the finish line yet, but definitely advancing.
Scott Fawn tweeted. Scott Fawn has the TV show This Week in Missouri Politics, also has the publication Missouri Times, Inside Jefferson City stuff. He covers it really, really well. Tweeted in a total. So the other thing out there is this idea, hey, we need to have a 60% threshold to pass an initiative petition. Scott Fawn tweeted that Doug Beck, who's a Democrat, and from the, I'm not sure which area of the state he's from, has proposed that this House Joint Resolution has to make a 60% threshold to pass an initiative petition, should itself have to pass out of the House with 60% approval. I'm in agreement with Scott Fawn on this one. What do you got for leftovers, Marsh?
Yeah, well, following up on that one, that part of it passed the House and it's approved by the Senate. That would be something, that 60% threshold, go to the voters to, again, having a constitutional amendment about amending the Constitution. So
it's very
we've done it 120 times since they first wrote the Missouri Constitution, so back to the drawing board, I guess.
And I think there's already over 100 initiative petitions on file with the Secretary of State for the next cycle. Something we talked yesterday about, the problem with Kim Gardner and what the Attorney General is doing is if, she's going to get reelected, and she announced that she was, that even if he's successful in removing her, she could just run for office again and get reelected. And she announced earlier this week that she plans to run for reelection. I guess there's a Representative, Brad Christ, who said,